So this is the remnants of what used to be a jack dam. You can see the old rusted rebar sticking out of the water. And then down on this log, might be hard to see, but all those things that look like sticks sticking up on the top, that's all old rusted nails. And then, let's see, I don't think you can see it, but there's plastic. There's some right there. So, right where that log goes across the stream, and over on that far bank, there's stacked rocks. And you can see where it's eroded now, but those stacked rocks came out into the middle of the stream. And there's that log, and it might be hard to see in the shadows, but there's another log, or what's left of it, that comes across about right here. And there was a deck built on top of this thing, and it was covered in plastic. And so the intent of it was to deepen this channel in the center, because this was a shallow area, I'm sure, before they built the project. And it probably did dig out a channel for a while it was still intact. But what else happened is, as I come down here to get out of the shadow, so the stream came down through here, and when it was dammed up, because the dam that's where I am right now, it changed the direction of the stream and forced it over into this far bank over here, where, as you can see, it undercut the root system of this hemlock tree, which is a pretty big one. And so it'll eventually fall, which isn't the worst thing, because that'll create better habitat than this stupid dam ever could. But we lose a hemlock tree in the process. But so yeah, it washed out this whole side. This peninsula that used to come out to probably about where I'm standing right now is gone. It's just, that's all now down in the stream. And as you can see, again, right here's the log. And so at one point, there would have been a big plunge pool off the downstream side of this thing. But as I walk down into what used to be the plunge pool, you can see that it's all just filled in with rocks. This is up to my shin deep. And this is a big flat now. So all the stones that were backed up behind this dam have now just filled in this, what probably at one point was a pretty decent sized pool. And it was probably fairly deep. Again, it's shin deep the whole way through this pool now. And what we're left with is a bunch of unnaturally stacked rocks, and then a bunch of rusty rebar, and a bunch of logs with old rusty nails sticking up out of them, an undercut hemlock tree, a bunch of stacked rocks that have collapsed and are now just in the stream bed. And the stream's back to this is probably what it was before they built this thing. You know, it was just a shallow flat. And, you know, the stream wants to be a shallow flat in this section, not a deep channel, not a plunge pool. And, you know, somebody spent thousands of dollars and I don't know how many man hours to build this thing, however long ago it was built. I mean, that rebar this thing is not that old. But all of these things, you know, wood rots, metal rusts, and floods can destroy these things pretty easily once they're compromised a little bit. And so, you know, all that money basically wasted. The stream is in worse condition today than it was before this thing was built, because that hemlock's compromised. This is probably shallower now than it was, because I doubt these streams that they used to build these peninsulas came from the stream. A lot of these probably came from the banks and maybe even back in the woods there. And so, you know, effectively, it was all just a waste of time and money, and left the stream in worse shape in the end than had they just left it alone.